Welcome to Fight Club 24/7. My name's Johnny Rashman. Right, let's get straight into it. Anthony Joshua, post-fight against Usyk. We've all seen people's comments. We all saw what went on. The guy had a breakdown, didn't he? Right, we've all done it. It's happened to us all, right? The difference is his breakdown happened with the whole world watching, right? So it's easy for us to comment, right, and to judge him, right? How many times has it happened with myself or you, where you might have been in a car, right, and someone's overtaken you, or someone slowed down at the traffic lights and they've beeped and you beeped and they've told you to F off, and you said, "What you fucking looking at?" And you've acted like a bit of a dick, right, for a few minutes, right? 5 minutes later, you calm down, you're fine, right? And you forgot about it, right? No one thinks of, no, it doesn't get talked, it doesn't get spoken about, right? Could you imagine if someone filmed you and someone saw that, and then people started commenting, and you saw the comments, and you're like, well, that's not really me. It was just a bit of traffic rage in the morning, you know. That's not myself. It's not a true reflection of myself. Do you know what I mean? It happens all the time. So you really have to give the benefit of the doubt to him. Right? I'm going to explain why. The title of this is, would AJ have exploded if Robert McCracken was in his corner? Now, Robert McCracken was his ex-coach, I'm sure you'll all know, and I'm going to explain why. If you look at AJ's and Robert McCracken's relationship, it's like a father and son relationship. Carl Fox has said that. Carl Fox used to train under him, and he said the same. He's a very calming figure, right? And he's that guy you go to for advice, right? And he will tell you the truth, type thing. And if you looked at their relationship, you know, when they used to do pad work and things like that, you'd always see Robert McCracken just so calm, right? Just saying, just calm down, just do this and that. Never screaming, never shouting. Yes, we all saw in the first fight, McCracken was saying, AJ, you're doing well, you're doing brilliantly. And to the untrained eye, people would be saying, why is he fucking saying that? You know, tell him to fucking grow some balls and fucking fight. But it's man management. It's like in football, right? There's certain players who you have to put your arm around, right, and say, you're doing great, you're doing well, well done. And then there's certain players you have to say, fucking come on, put your effort in, you're not doing anything, and then react to that. You know, every sportsman has a different mentality, and fighters, right, no matter how mentally strong they are, they're mentally weak as well, right? I always say fighters, and I always say this about myself as well. Look, I'm not saying I'm a fighter, but I'm saying mentally, I always say I'm the most mentally strongest, weakest person you'll meet. And that's the same with fighters. You know, there's areas in my life where I'm fucking mentally strong, right? And there's areas where I'm not, where I'm mentally weak, right? And it's the same for boxers. Certain boxers need to have a fucking rollicking and a bollocking in the corner. And certain boxers, you need to say, look, you're doing okay. Right, you're doing well. Keep building it, because if you start telling them that they're not doing well, they just deflate. Right? And I know it might sound stupid, that, but believe me, I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it growing up. I've seen it in boxing gyms. I've been around fighters. Right, I've seen how different trainers react to different fighters. Right, and I've seen fighters literally where if you tell him, look, that wasn't a good performance, you're not doing well, they just deflate, and then the next round they put the worst performances in. Where if you say, look, that was good, right, you did well, keep doing that, but do this and this. So it's the way you deliver the message, right? So I can understand that from McCracken's point of view, and I can understand AJ asking people, oh, have I done well, have I done not? And that's just the way he is. You can just tell he overthinks, right? I know people like that, right? You can tell he's everything, he's analysing, he's overthinking, he's asking people for advice. That's just the way he is. Like I say, he's the most mentally strongest, weakest person you'll meet. You know, clearly mentally strong to get to where he's got to in his career, starting boxing late, achieving what he's achieved, having the fucking pressure that he has, right? So he's clearly mentally strong in that aspect, but he's clearly needs to work on his mindset, you know, when things don't go well, right? Because that, you can see that is a chink in his armour, right? He's only human. And that's why I think Robert Garcia was saying, look, you're doing well, you're up. And really, Robert Garcia should be saying, look, come on, AJ, throw more punches, you know? But I can understand it, right? Because they're around him, we're not. You know, we just look at this superhuman figure and just, you know, got a body like a garden. He's a Superman. But so really mentally having chinks in your arm and having mental weaknesses, people can't relate to that because they just see this fucking Superman. But if you're in the game and you're around fighters, you understand that they're very fragile, right? The mentality, they can be super strong, they can also be super weak. Right, happens. Look at Ricky Hatton. Look how hard he trained. Look at the dedication. Outside the ring, he's had his issues. You know, they're only human, right? I'm not condoning everything he did. It was right. It wasn't. But like I said, going back to the car incident, it was just a moment. It was just pure emotion coming out, right? You've got to understand he's come out of a 12-round mentally draining fight. And not just that, the whole build up to this. Right, everything's changing trainer. That would have been hard. Like I say, with Robert McCracken, that would have been a horrible decision. To have someone who's guided you from your amateur career to Olympic success, to your professional career, to heavyweight world title success, to have this calming figure, this guy who you rely on, who's a shoulder to cry on, who's everything to you, to have that removed, right, that will take something out of you, because you've got to understand now, AJ and his team, he's the boss. Right now, yes, he'll forge a bond with his new trainer, Angel Fernandez and Garcia, and you become like a family to a certain extent. But they're there for the money. Do you know what I mean? You know, they weren't there at the beginning. Right, let's get it right. Robert Garcia ain't doing it for fucking free, is he? You know, he's getting a nice paycheck at the end of it. Now, I'm not saying he's not putting everything into it. He is. He's a great trainer, Robert Garcia. Right, he is. And the tactics were good. Right, but what AJ says goes, basically, right? Where with Robert McCracken, he was that figure where he would have said, he would have basically stopped AJ exploding like that, right? Because let's get it right. Big Fraser Clark said it best. He was the only one who said it. Fair fucking play. I like Fraser Clark. He comes across as a good analyst. He says it how it is, right? And he's in there deep in the camp, right? And he knew he couldn't get in trouble for saying it. And he said his team let him down. He got left hung out to dry, basically. No one was there to stop him, right? Even Eddie Hearn, right? Eddie Hearn didn't want to get involved, did he? Eddie Hearn should have grabbed hold of him and said, come on, AJ, leave it. But I could also understand Eddie not doing that, because I think AJ was that emotional. Maybe he would have told him to F off or pushed him away. Do you know what I mean? So I can understand. Eddie didn't want to smoke, basically. So Eddie left him. The trainer was nowhere to be seen. His team members were nowhere to be seen, right? Really, someone should have come up and just said, right, AJ, leave it now. Come on. I'm telling you, you're going to regret this. Just fucking leave it. Right? And I think the only person on the planet who would have been able to give him that information and AJ would have listened to is Robert McCracken. Right? Because all the other people who were there, now I'm not discrediting them, right? They were a close team, but AJ's the boss. He's the money man. He employs them. Right? He is the boss. Whatever he says goes. He is the boss. So I think there was an element of people just didn't want to conflict with the boss, right? Robert McCracken would have said, come on, AJ, leave it. Would have put his arm around his shoulder, right? Now, yes, from a boxing sense, would he have AJ performed as well as he did under Robert McCracken, considering the first fight? I don't know. Who knows, right? But I think he should have still been around the team. I think it was a big mistake to get rid of him. And I think that would have hurt AJ. Right, because we look at it and we don't understand the relationship they have. I'm telling you, they would have had a seriously strong, close relationship, that father figure. Right, and it's sort of like, I don't know, your father passing away, you know, that kind of thing. It's like he's not there anymore. Like that, or whoever you rely on for that shoulder to cry on, or that person, that inspiration you look up to if they're not over there, if they've passed away, or they're not here for whatever reason, if they've moved country, whatever, you've fallen out with them. If they're not there, it's like, well, who do I turn to? You know, Robert Garcia's not that guy. Yes, he's my trainer, but he's not that father figure to me. You know, so there was no one there to calm him down. Now, look, like I said after the fight, in the cold light of day, when his senses weren't scrambled, he took headshots, he would have realised, look, I shouldn't really be going on about myself and my childhood when I've got Usyk there, who's literally in war. Right? His country is getting bombed every day. Right? They're fighting for their lives. literally fighting for their lives. He would have understood that it's not the right time. We would have let Usyk speak, and then he would have spoke. But the emotion came out. It came out of him. He wanted to win. If AJ had just shook his hand, started laughing and joking, like Dillian Whyte did pre-fight against Tyson Fury, you look at that weigh-in with Dillian Whyte, he's laughing, he's joking, he's smiling, he's waving, it's all happy, nicey. You're thinking, fucking hell, mate, you're meant to be in the fight of your life. What are you laughing and joking for? Right? If AJ would have done that, everyone would have said, oh, he's just there for the money. He's not bothered. His mentality's gone. Like, his desire's gone. He can never win, right? How many times do you see people say he's just not got the hunger anymore? He's not got the desire, right? How many times do people say he's media trained, he's not himself, he doesn't give real interviews, right? So when he does, right, and when he does show he does fucking care, take away the money aspect for a minute, when he shows he stone cold cares, he has that emotion, he wants to win, people say, oh, that's his true self, he's a dick, he's this and that. Like, clearly, it was a bad thing, it was a mistake, right, to get the mic and to start going on like that, right, clearly. But there was also a lot of respect shown. As soon as the fight ended, he got on his knees, right, hugged Usyk, held the Ukrainian flag. Right, people don't want to mention that. They just want to go on about the bad stuff. Right, is it the biggest meltdown you've ever seen? No, but it's like people are reveling in him breaking down. How many times did we go on about mental health? We saw Paddy Pimblett in the UFC come out with a great message. Danny Garcia, right, literally crying, and we were all like, yeah, we need to support each other, right? But as soon as AJ has a breakdown, it's all laughing and joking. And I've seen some of the memes, and I'm not going to lie, some of them are funny. There's one where he's got the microphone, there's like a rap song going over it, and it is funny that. And look, you can laugh at that, you can, right? I understand that, but not the people who are like reveling in his downfall and saying, oh, he's a bum, he's this, he's a disgrace, he's all that. They're not taken into context. Like, he's just come out a 12-round grueling, mentally draining fight. On top of that, the pressure on him, right? And people may say, well, he earns a lot of money and he's signed up to that. And yes, of course, there's an element of that. But that guy's got the weight of the world over his shoulder. Let me tell you something. You start losing, all of a sudden, all these sponsors and all these people around you who claim to want the best for you, and they're giving you free stuff, the phone stops calling, right? You don't hear from them, right? So the pressure on him to win and win and win is fucking astronomical, right? And especially when you've got Eddie giving his best salesman routine, and that's Eddie's job. Has Eddie done him a disservice? You have to say no, because at the end of the day, he's made the bloke an incredible amount of money, right? Eddie's a promoter. As I always say, a promoter's job isn't to tell the truth, it's to tell you what they want you to hear. The salesman, as I said in my last video, they're going to sell you something, right? So, doesn't mean they're liars, it's just they're actors, they're selling you something, right? Just like in any industry that sells you something, right? They're going to put on a bit of a pitch, a sales pitch, and that's what Eddie does. He gives you a sales pitch, right? And he's done that with AJ. And to be honest, he has talked a little bit too much. He just needs to wind it down a little bit, right? But he's a promoter. That's why he's been paid a shitload of money for that fight. And from that point of view, you have to say he's done a good job. And if he would have came out and said, look, my mental health shot to bits, people again would have said, well, what have you got to be complaining about? You can fly to any country you want. You've got more money than you ever need. I'm struggling to pay my fucking energy bills, people are thinking. I'm struggling to pay my mortgage. That's what people are thinking. That's real life. So people aren't relating to it, but there's a lot of pressure on him. There's a lot of pressure on the bloke, and the criticism he got after the first fight, he's not dedicated, he don't want it, he's not good enough, and all that, and changing trainers, everything, and he's gone down and locked himself away, hardly done any interviews, and it just came out, the emotion just came out. Yes, granted, not the right time, right? Let Usyk have his moment, right? Which he did towards the end, right? But you have to understand, he's taking shots. He's not thinking like we're thinking. He's not on the couch with a beer in one hand and a doner kebab in the other hand. He's just come through a tough fight, and he's taking shots. He's a fighter. So he's, like I said, his senses would have been scrambled. So you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? it's easy to hammer him and laugh at him and joke at him. And look, there might be some people who have met him, maybe they've had a bad interaction with him. I don't know, right? I know people who know him, they say he's a great guy. I know someone who's in business with him, they say he's a great guy, right? I don't see many people saying bad things about him. I just see people just always trying to discredit him, always say, oh, he's a big dosser, he's this and that. He's not a real champion, he's media trained, he's not a real person. And it's like, the guy's a human being, right? He's going to see all the comments, right? I'm not saying don't have an opinion, right? This platform's all about opinions, right? And it's about heated opinions. Right? And on my social channels, I get heated, right? Obviously, there's a line to cross. If people start being racist, or they start bringing religion, or they start bringing your background into things, and I'm going to fucking cut you off, right? I don't put up with that. But strong opinions is what I want, right? Even if we get heated, I will always back my opinion, right? And I'll always put it across. And if I'm wrong, I'll say, fair play, you were right. So we want strong opinions, but the hate, which there is, right? And really just probably only a minority, right? You see it on social media. I'm not going to say bad things about social media, because a lot of times people go, even Eddie Hearn said, oh, dickheads on social media. Let me tell you something, social media is a fucking great avenue. Right? Now, it's not even social media, it's media now. Right? How many people read a newspaper or consume the news from the TV? They don't. They get the news from Twitter or social media. So it's actually the media. Right? So social media, for me, does more good than bad. Right? It does. It can create great opportunities. It can create awareness. You can make a shitload of money off it. Right? You can turn yourself into a brand. You can literally turn yourself into a brand on social media. So there's a lot of good things with it. But yes, there's a dark side to it. Of course there is. You have these accounts, they've got a picture of a cat, hardly any followers, and they'll just abuse you. And we all know people who do that, just aren't happy with themselves, right? So there might be good, decent people, but they're just not happy with their own circumstances. So them bashing someone and abusing them, it makes them feel good. They get short-term pleasure out of that. And we understand that. There's people out there who have opinions which are right. You know, there might be people saying, not good enough, AJ, never has been. That's fine, no problem. You know, I don't have a problem with that. But as someone from the UK, let's fucking get behind him, right? Why fucking deflate him even more? I know that's what we like to do here in the UK. We like to build our stars up and then fucking bring them down and bring them up again, right? You know, AJ, you've got to understand his mentality. Since 2012, he's been the nation's sweetheart. He has. You know, we all fell in love with him when he won the gold medal at the Olympics. He's been the man, you know. He's been that guy. He's been the heavyweight champion of the world. He's been that guy, you know. He would have had a lot of yes men around him. Of course, there will be a lot of yes man. Yes, AJ. Yes, AJ. Yes, AJ. Yes, AJ. And that's why, going back to Robert McCracken, he was that guy who wouldn't have been a yes man. He wouldn't have. He would have told him the truth. Right, but you might not see it in public, and people may say, well, he wasn't telling him the truth in the fight. But like I say, there'll be reasons for that, right? As I say, fighters have different mentalities, right? So I think Robert McCracken was thrown under the bus. And really, if you look at AJ's in a circle, who's that person who's going to fucking say, come on, mate, you need to fucking change this? There's not going to be many, because they're all being paid. They all like the money, you know. Maybe his cousin will be like that, I'm sure. I don't know the relationship. I don't know. I'm sure he'll tell him the truth. But I'm talking about, you know, managers and advisors and this and that. They're all there because they want the money, right? How many people can AJ really rely on? Right? Because it's like anything. When you get successful like that, it's success that many people can't relate to. I'll never have it. You'll never have it. Most 99% of people will never have it, where you are like one of the biggest stars in the fucking world. Right? There's so much pressure that comes to that. Yes, you get tremendous benefits, of course. You get the fucking nice lifestyle. You get the nice cars. You can provide for your family. Yes, of course it is. And that's a lot easier than someone who's struggling to pay the fucking bills. But at the end of the day, the pressure is still, it's like he just can't go out and do normal things because everyone's scrutinising him. Everyone's got something to say. You know, if he has a bit of a bad morning, or he might meet a fan, he might have signed 200 autographs, and the 201st one, he might say, listen, I've had enough. And then that guy goes, oh, he's a fucking prick, he's a dickhead. You know, so I just think you've got to give the guy a fucking break. right? He's represented the UK fantastically, right? He's a new breed of heavyweights. Before AJ, what did we have? We had the Klitschko era. You know, did any of us really relate to Klitschko? You know, great fighters, but really smart men and a bit like robots. You know, then you had fat heavyweights, you know, like your Tony Thompsons and fighters like that. They just weren't great to watch. And then you had this new guy where people could relate to, had a good story. You know, and he has changed his life around. And it does need to be respected. You know, in a different world, maybe he would have been in prison or maybe he would have been dead, right? So for him to get past all that, that's fucking success. The guy's winning in life, right? He's winning in life. He had a meltdown. It happens to us all, right? The guy's apologised for it. It's not the worst thing you've ever fucking seen in your life, but it's raw passion, emotion. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see media train crap. When you hear a fucking football manager or you hear a footballer talk pre-match, it's all media trained. It's all what they've got to mind the P's and Q's. They've got to be careful what they say. They can't talk about certain things. AJ fucking let it all out, right? Bad timing, granted, but he let it all out. Right? So give him a fucking break, right? Just think sometimes, try and imagine being in his shoes. Right? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't have an opinion. I'm not saying be a snowflake. No, it's all about opinions, right? But you don't need to hate on the bloke, right? He's represented us very well. I'm very proud of him, right? And the guy's an inspiration. I take inspiration from him. I could go, oh, he's a fucking this and this and that. And I go, fucking hell, if that guy can turn his life around and get to the success he has, then there's parts in my life I can. Now, yeah, obviously, I'm not going to be a fucking heavyweight champion, but there's the goals that I can achieve. If he can do it and achieve his goals, I can fucking do it, and you can do it. So take inspiration from it, right? That's all I'm saying. Right, let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think it was just bad timing for AJ? Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe.